A fresh push to repatriate Rohingya refugees to Myanmar seems to have fallen flat. No one has turned up to board the 10 buses and 12 trucks provided by Bangladesh.
Myanmar had already cleared 3,400 people for repatriation from a list of more than 22,000 names submitted by the Bangladesh Foreign Ministry.
But none of them came. Bangladeshi officials say they waited for 4 hours. This latest attempt follows a similar failed push in November. Some Rohingyas have stressed they do not want to go back without a guarantee of safety or citizenship.
This man says he'd rather drink poison than be sent to Myanmar. 740,000 members of the Muslim minority group fled a violent crackdown by Myanmar's army in Rakhine State 2 years ago.
Many crossed into Bangladesh and have been staying in refugee camps. The UN says any repatriation must be voluntary.
And for more, let's cross over to Leong Wai-kit, and he's in Yangon right now. Wai-kit, so we heard that nobody turned up today. Is this a failed second attempt?
Well, Glenda, based on today's events, well, we can call today's repatriation effort as a failed attempt, but it's still too early to say because from what I know, Myanmar has set aside August 22nd, August 23rd for would-be repatriation to take place. And earlier, the UN agency in charge of refugees, they issued a statement saying that they're currently helping Bangladesh to speak to Rohingyas who've been selected to go back to Myanmar to see if they want to go back. The spokesperson in Yangon told me earlier that so far they've spoken to nearly 300 Rohingya families. Nobody has indicated they want to go back. But still, they're continuing this interview process in the next couple of days. So there could still be a possibility of someone saying that they want to go back. Having said that, the odds are stacked against Myanmar. Nobody has so far in the last 2 years said they felt safe enough to return to Myanmar. And, you know, human rights bodies have also asked Myanmar and Bangladesh to halt these repatriation plans.
Wai-kit, this latest attempt, it sort of comes after ASEAN got involved. Tell us more about ASEAN's role in the process.
Well, Steve, ASEAN is the latest body to be helping Myanmar with repatriation. Of course, Myanmar has many friends, as it says. It has worked with various countries like India, Japan, China, and also UN bodies. But ASEAN's involvement looks set to be a game changer. And I say this because historically, ASEAN has been known to be able to help Myanmar in difficult times. Because if you recall back in the late 1980s, when the world shunned Myanmar, calling it, and I quote, a pariah state, ASEAN stood by Myanmar because it believed in positively engaging Myanmar. And that policy later became known as the constructive engagement with Myanmar. And that bore fruit because if you recall, 10 years ago, there was Cyclone Nargis, massive destructions across Myanmar, and ASEAN played an important role in opening Myanmar up to receive global help for that disaster. So since 2011, though, we've not heard of constructive engagement with Myanmar because Myanmar has transited from a military government to a civilian government, and it is now undergoing a transition to democracy. Having said that, interestingly, in 2018, this constructive engagement policy resurfaced because while I was tuning in, listening to some of the discussions in UN, during a UN Human Rights Council discussion, the ASEAN member states who spoke up about the repatriation and Rohingya crisis, they each very interestingly brought up the term constructive engagement. So countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia, they separately spoke at different times during the duration, but they each used the term constructive engagement. So it seems to me that ASEAN is now taking a tried and tested policy to once again use this constructive engagement policy to work with Myanmar to currently solve the Rohingya and repatriation crisis. So all in, let's not forget that ASEAN is not the only body helping Myanmar. There are, like I said earlier, many other well-meaning parties helping Myanmar and Bangladesh in this whole difficult issue of repatriation.
All right, many thanks for that update. Leong Wai-kit speaking to us from Yangon.